Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start lying down. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Knock your knees together, bring your feet a bit wider. Allow your eyes to close and take a few moments. Come into your breath, come into your body. And notice the rise and fall of your chest and belly every time you breathe in. And every exhale, allow yourself to sink a little heavier into your mat. Find a few more moments of stillness with breath. And then release your hands off to the side and bring your knees up to a tabletop position. We're gonna start with your right leg. You can bring your hands a little out to the side and then start to lower your right knee out to the side and then bring it back up to tabletop position. Now your left leg could be lifted or you could bring your left foot down for stability. Take about 4 or 5 with a bent right knee and then extend your right leg and do the same thing, just coming to your own range of motion. Now notice if your body is really rolling over to the right, really plug down into your left foot. For the straightened leg, try to bring your left foot down to the ground so you can anchor down onto your left side. This is gonna take a little bit of oblique work too, but we're mostly just focusing on opening and finding some range of motion into the hip. Now start to draw big circles. So extend the right leg in front of you, take it out to the side, all the way up and around. We take about 4 big circles in this direction. You can have a little bit of a bend with your knee and try to make this as free as possible and continue to anchor down into that left foot, push down into the ground as you find a little more lubrication into the right hip. And now start to take these circles in the opposite direction. Really think of just kind of swinging and opening through your right hip joint. You can push down into your hands to add a little more stability. We'll do 1 or 2 more circles here. And then keep your right leg up, bend your right knee, and start to internally and externally rotate the right hip. And that will mean moving the right shin over to the right and over to the left. And hold each exercise, hold each position, just for a little beat. So you really feel the activation of the muscles that are helping with the internal and external rotation. And then gently bring your right foot down to the mat and we'll set all of that up on the second side. So you can keep your right foot planted and reach your left leg up. Bend your left knee and then open your left knee to the side and then bring it back up. And we'll take this 4 or 5 more times. Just starting with some early hip openers, actively push down into your bottom right foot. Open the leg, pull it back up. And then 1 more time with a bent knee. And now this time, extend your left leg up overhead and start to do the same thing, except with a straight leg. And the leg, of course, does not have to be all the way straight. You can have a little bit of softness through your knee, a little bit of buoyancy there, but continue to plug down into your right foot. We'll do this about 5 times total. And now keep your leg up in the air and we'll start to find these big circles. So the left leg will come down and forward, up and around to the left, and then find your big circle and continue to push down into your bottom right foot. Push down into your hands, push down into the back of your head. That might feel like the strangest sensation there of really activating and plugging the rest of your body down into the mat while your left leg and your left hip move somewhat freely. And start to move these circles in the opposite direction. Just finding some really nice lubrication into the left hip. Non-weight bearing lubrication. And we'll do a couple more circles here. And then bring your left leg back up overhead, bend your left knee and start to find internal and external rotation. So move your left shin in one direction, hold for a moment, and then move it in the opposite direction, hold for a moment. And just notice the musculature that you really have to find and harness as you move between each position. And try not to take this too quickly. Really do allow yourself a moment of hold. And then come back to center. Pull both of your knees into your chest. Grab onto your knees or your shins and just take a little bit of movement into the hips here. You can kind of roll your knees, your hips around. Again, finding some nice lubrication, maybe a little more movement through the lower back. And then start to rock and roll yourself upright. And we're moving into a tabletop, all fours position. Extend your right leg straight out to the side, actively push down through both of your hands, and then start to lift and lower your right leg. So we're starting to get a bit of activation into the outer right glute. Push down into your hands, and this is also a little bit of activation into your core and especially your obliques. We'll do about 5 of these little lifts. And now hold the lift, take your right leg all the way back, all the way across your body over to the left, and then lift the leg and bring it all the way up, back, and around. Try to keep the leg floating as you bring it back out to the side, and then when it gets behind you, you can tap it down to the mat. And we'll take about 5 of these huge circles. And this is going to activate into the glutes quite a bit, and then also that idea of finding more mobility, more range of motion into the hips that we already kind of found on your back. But now we're just bringing a little more of an active component to it. Your hips are gonna move slightly from side to side. Your spine will move as well. And now cross your right knee behind your left knee and start to take some circles through your hips. So you're gonna start to feel some stretching into the outer glutes, and this can just be some easy movement, easy circles. We'll do like 3 in one direction, 3 in the opposite direction. And you can move a little bit, be kind of fluid through the spine here as well. And then separate your ankles and try to send your hips between your ankles into a little version of a child's pose here with your left knee crossed on top. And you may be feeling like you're not able to get your hips all the way down, like the outer hips are a little too tight to allow your glutes to hit the mat. And that's okay, just allow your glutes to float and feel that stretch into your outer glutes. Take a big breath in. Take a full big breath out. Bring yourself back forward to this cross-legged position and take a few moments for a cat and cow in your cross-legged position. Arch your spine, lift your gaze, inhale. Exhale, press into the ground, dome through your upper back, and take this just a few more times. Arch your spine, inhale, and exhale. And feel free to pepper in any additional movement that may feel good here. And then move yourself back to a neutral spinal position. Unravel your knees. Bring your knees together to touch and take a few moments just to wag your tail from side to side. Another little target for the outer glutes. Push into your hands. Maybe find some extra movement into the head and the neck. And you can linger a little bit longer on each side. And take a few more here. Just easy, big movements. Move yourself back to center. We're gonna move all of that onto the second side. Extend your left leg out and start to lift and lower through your left leg. Push down into your hands and feel how active your core can be. Lengthen through the back of your neck all the way out the crown of your head. You'll notice that your left oblique must engage. Now take your left leg back, around, and all the way across. You can tap your left toes down and bring the left leg all the way back. Try to bring your left leg up to hip height. And if you're unable to keep the left leg straight, that's okay. But you do want to try to keep the leg lifted, elevated, so we get that activation into the left glute especially. And of course, that big old range of motion into the hip. And you can follow your toe with your head. We'll do a few more of these, just moving out and around. And then cross your left knee behind your right knee and take a few moments for these generous hip circles with the crossing of your legs. And you can find a little more movement into your spine too if that feels good, if that feels like a nice release for you. We'll do about 3 or so circles in one direction and then go ahead and start to move this in the other direction. Big juicy circles through the hips. And then move yourself back to center. Separate your ankles a little further and send your hips back into this cross-legged child's pose. So you've got the right thigh on top of the left. Walk your fingertips forward. Drop your head and breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. Nice full big breath in. And nice full big breath out. And then notice if you're able to heavy your hips down to the mat. And if not, that's okay. You can have a little bit of lift there. And then start to roll yourself up so you're still cross-legged and find cat and cow. Arch your spine, lift your gaze as you inhale. And exhale, cat spine. And take a few more of these, just moving through the spine and maybe adding some additional movement that can be into the head, the neck, the shoulders, whatever feels good. And take just a few more sets, moving at your own pace. Bring yourself back to neutral spine, unravel your knees, bring your knees so they're together, and start to find this little wag of your hips from side to side, pushing into the outer glute, finding some nice length into the outside of your glutes, and maybe also finding a shift with your upper torso. And take a few more moments here, just moving through. Come back to neutral. Flip your toes under, walk your feet forward so you're in a ragdoll forward fold. Soften through your knees, drop your head, and slowly start to roll yourself all the way up to stand. Shift your weight onto your left leg and pull your right knee into your chest. Give it a nice big squeeze. Gently pull your right knee out to the right side, and then bring your right foot down to the mat and switch. Pull your left knee to your chest, give it a little squeeze, and then open your left knee to the left and lower the foot. Take this again, right knee to the chest, open your right knee to the side, lower your foot, switch sides, left knee to your chest, open your left knee. We just find some nice lubrication here, as well as a little bit of balance challenge. Now pull your right knee up once again, bring your hands to prayer, open your right leg around to the side, and then release the leg behind you. And you don't have to keep your hands at prayer, but we're just gonna move your right leg in this half circular motion, just forwards and backwards. And as the leg moves back behind you, find a deeper bend of your bottom knee. Now, this is a pretty challenging balance exercise. So if you need to use a wall or some sort of bar to help your balance, feel free to do that. We take this just a few more times. If you fall out of it, no big deal, come right back into it. We're just exploring that range of motion that we've really been playing around with. And then take one more time and hold with your leg back behind you. Extend your leg, try to stay low on your bottom knee, step your back foot back and reach your arms up overhead into a high crescent lunge. Let your hips drop down to the ground. Keep your front left knee tracking over your toes. Bring your hands down and lift your right leg up into the air, and then start to draw some circles with your right leg. Big little half circles and just alternate directions. You can have a bend through both of your knees here. This can be pretty intense, especially for your left hamstring. It's just a little more active range of motion. We'll take about 2 more here in each direction, just finding this nice, big, open, loose movement. Move at your own range of motion. And then meet back in a forward fold. Soften both of your knees, roll yourself up to stand. We're gonna move that on the opposite side. So pull your left knee up. Your hands can be at prayer. Sometimes it can be more stabilizing to find kind of a running man position. Then open your left knee and circle it all the way around and behind you. And then come back so your left knee is in front of you, and keep moving with these half circles. As the leg moves back behind you, find a bit of a deeper bend through your right knee. And again, if you need to use some sort of wall or some sort of stabilizing surface, feel free to find that. If you fall out of this, no big deal, just come right back into it. And continue to move here. We'll take about 2 more. Lots of challenge here. The core is working really hard. Keep your leg back behind you, extend the leg, bring your left toes down, reach your arms up into a high crescent lunge. Take a nice big breath here, open your chest, and then dive your hands forward into a standing split. You can bend through your bottom knee, lift your left leg up, and start to draw these big half circles with your left leg. Feel free to bend into your left knee, bend into your right knee as well. Drop your head as much as you can. Active range of motion. Move into the hip. And we'll take a couple more in each direction here. See if you can increase your range of motion with every set. And then lower yourself back to forward fold. Separate your feet. Bring your heels and your toes out and send your hips down into a passive squat. Bring your hands to prayer and lift your gaze. We're going to be here for a little bit of time. Just allow your hips to be nice and heavy. Your elbows can press against your knees or your thighs to encourage your knees to track right over your ankle, right over your toe. Try to allow your spine to be as tall as possible. Take one more big breath and then gently lower your hips down to the mat. We're going to play around a little bit with internal rotation. Let your knees knock over to the left and then stack your left foot so it comes on top of your right thigh. So you're adding just a little bit of weight there. You may feel a little bit of extra stretch into the hip. You can lean your body back if you feel a little more that way. Release your top foot and then move your knees so they're over to the right. Bring your right foot so it stacks on top of your left thigh. And then the same thing, you can kind of walk your hands back behind you. Notice if you feel any sort of deeper stretch with the weight of your right foot on your left thigh. Take a big breath in. And then slowly, slowly bring yourself back to center. Both feet flat to the mat. We take an upright figure 4. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. And then you can stay here. You can find a little shift of your bottom knee from side to side. That's going to make your stretch feel just a little different. Try to flex your top right foot as much as you can. And then release your foot and we swap. Left ankle will go on top. Gently lower your hips down to the mat and find an easy little sway through your hips from side to side. Breathe into the opening of your left hip. Nice big breaths in. Full big breaths out. And then slowly bring your left foot back down to the mat. From here, with hands behind your thighs, roll yourself all the way down onto your back. The same way we began today. Knock your knees together, bring your feet a little wider. You can bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. And come back to the breath that you established at the beginning of the series. And take this moment as a moment of gratitude. You carved out this time for yourself, for your physical and mental well-being. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.